I had always prided myself on my ability to write stories that could make even the bravest of readers shiver. But lately, the words just wouldn't come. The ideas I once had in abundance were now nowhere to be found. The blank page in front of me mocked me with its emptiness, and the cursor blinked in rhythmic defiance, as if urging me to come up with something, anything, worth writing. But my mind was an abyss, devoid of inspiration. It was getting late, too late for someone who had a deadline looming. I leaned back in my chair and sighed, rubbing my eyes as I stared out of the window. The darkness outside seemed to press in on me, suffocating the little light left in the room. I scrolled absent-mindedly through the web, hoping something would spark an idea. A couple of videos caught my eye, and I clicked on them, hoping the distraction would bring some clarity. As the hours passed, I could feel the weight of fatigue dragging me down. My phone buzzed in my pocket, pulling me from my daze. The screen flashed, showing an unknown number. I frowned, considering whether to answer. It was already far too late for anyone to be calling. I declined the call, but then it rang again. Same number. Odd. I swiped to decline once more, and the silence returned. I was just about to focus back on my screen when the phone buzzed again. The same number. I sighed and answered it, thinking it was just some automated spam or a prank call. At first, there was only silence. Then, faintly, I heard what sounded like running water, a trickling stream, followed by a strange metallic clink, as though something heavy was being dragged across metal. My breath hitched. My finger hovered over the disconnect button, but then, through the static, I heard something more, something familiar. A voice, soft, like a whisper through a curtain of water, repeated my question. It was as if the voice knew me, knew what I had been asking myself all evening. Where do I find my next idea? I sat frozen, unsure of what to do. The voice repeated itself again, and this time, I decided to test it. I asked a simple question, something irrelevant, just to see if it would respond in kind. The voice repeated my words once more. It was then that I thought it was all a prank, somebody messing with me. Maybe some twisted individual had found my number and decided to toy with me in the dead of night. I disconnected the call and shrugged it off, going back to searching for something to ignite my creativity. But then I heard a noise, a loud bang, followed by the unmistakable sound of tiny feet running across the floor. The hairs on my neck stood on end. I was alone in the house. My parents were on vacation, and it had been quiet, too quiet. I didn't want to believe it, but the sound had been too distinct, too real. I stood up slowly, heart pounding, and made my way to the kitchen, my mind racing. I grabbed a knife from the counter, its cold blade offering little comfort as I gripped it tightly. Stepping cautiously, I approached the stairs, straining to hear any further sounds. The house felt wrong. The air was heavier, and every creak of the floorboards beneath my feet sent a shiver through my spine. I ascended the stairs slowly, listening for the sound of movement. And then I saw it. At the top of the stairs, just in front of my bedroom door, something had been scratched into the wood, a drawing. A star with 7 points, surrounded by a circle. My breath caught in my throat. I had never seen this before. What made it even worse was that it was dripping. A small amount of blood was oozing from the drawing, and a black nail had been embedded in the center. I backed away, my mind spinning. Was this the work of a troubled teenager? Had someone been hiding in my house, playing a sick prank? I gripped the knife harder, convinced that I needed to confront whoever had done this. I pushed open the door with a slow, trembling hand. The room looked different. Clean. Impossible. My bedroom, once cluttered with clothes and half-finished projects, was now immaculate. The bed was made, the floor was spotless, and the posters that had once adorned the walls had all been replaced with framed pictures. Pictures of a boy whose face seemed almost wrong, imperfect. His eyes were too wide, his smile too forced, and the way he stood, always just slightly off center, gave me an unsettling feeling. I stepped further into the room, heart racing. My mind struggled to comprehend what I was seeing. The walls had changed color too. Where they had once been a pale blue, they were now a bright yellow with a floral pattern. The cleanliness, the order, it was all wrong. The phone in my pocket rang again. The same unknown number. I answered it without thinking, my pulse thudding in my ears. I spoke, but my voice was shaky, fearful. "Leave the house," I demanded, trying to regain control. The voice on the other end repeated my words. I felt a chill run down my spine, and before I could say anything else, the line went dead. I tried calling the police, but the signal on my phone was gone. Panic surged within me as I looked around. The wallpaper, how had I missed it, had changed too. It was no longer the pattern that had been there earlier. Now, it was a solid, deep crimson, and more of those strange, seven-pointed stars had appeared on the walls. I had to get out of here. The air felt suffocating. The house was changing, warping around me, and I didn't know how to escape it. I ran toward the stairs, but as I turned the corner, I froze. The stairs were gone. The hallway stretched on endlessly, filled with doors that I didn't recognize. The house was shifting, distorting. I started running, panic gripping my chest. The hall seemed to stretch further and further, and with every step I took, the doors multiplied. I didn't know where I was or where I was supposed to go. Then the phone rang again. I pulled it from my pocket, barely able to keep my hand steady. "What do you want from me?" I demanded. The voice on the other end didn't hesitate. "The secret to a good scary story," it replied, "is the loss of control." Before I could respond, the line went dead again. I stood there in the hallway, the world around me warping further with every breath. There was a trail of blood on the floor now, leading to a room I didn't recognize. It was my room, but it wasn't. I stepped inside. There, hanging from the ceiling, was a version of me, lifeless, swinging gently from a rope. I slammed the door shut, heart pounding. There was no escape. I was trapped, forever.